Hello, this is Idodmg and welcome back to the channel. In this Nioh 2 video, I want to share some things that I wish I would have known way sooner on in my journey. I have just shy of 30 hours played in the game, and some of these things I'm going to talk about in this video just would have helped me out so much more if I would have known them. I feel like some of these tips that I'm going to share with you are a little bit more for beginners or people that are just starting out on Nioh 2. But nonetheless, they're things that I overlooked, didn't figure out until way later in my adventure. So hopefully this will give you the edge if you're just starting out. Let's go ahead and talk Nioh 2. The very first piece of advice is related to your skill tree. When you go into here to spend points or whatever, you're going to notice that there's certain nodes that you cannot unlock until you've completed a certain mission. These very first tier of nodes that you can unlock is actually through just going into your dojo at the starting point. Within here, you're going to find the Way of the Samurai series of quests and objectives. I recommend go ahead and doing the novice one at least as a bare minimum. You should probably do the other one so you can understand some of the basics of the game. You can see I skipped them. But once you've finished that novice one, you'll open up a lot more of the skill tree. Next up, we have this new type of Kodama that you'll encounter throughout your time in Nioh 2. I could not find this while gathering footage, so here's a little image of what you're looking for and what I'm talking about. If you encounter one of these Kodama creatures, basically they're corrupted and they're now more greedy instead of just the normal Kodamas that are looking for help. So what you need to do is open up your inventory and drop any item to them. I have a feeling that the higher rarity that you do give them, maybe you have a higher chance of getting something better in return, but anything I really do, just drop them something, they'll take it, and then they'll give you loot back. Next up, I want to talk about the fat cats. When I first encountered these, not going to lie, I thought maybe I had to bring these cats to the purple Kodama. It took me a little bit to really figure out what they were. I was able to see the buff bar underneath my health when I encountered the fat cats. Again, here's a picture for it. What these are going to do is they're going to follow you around in the mission and help you out in combat. You can encounter these throughout the level, make sure you pet them, and they'll go ahead and join forces. Before we keep going here, I do want to point out that I will have a link down in the description below, which is I found on Reddit, and it's a really killer link that you got to check out, and it has just a ton of general information that you can bookmark and reference, and it's really just a good source for everything Nioh 2. But anyway, back to the video guide here. When it comes to weapons, I just love using the axes. But the piece of advice that I want to offer here is find a weapon that you're comfortable with and you enjoy using and use it a whole bunch so that you can gain more skill points in your skill tree. One other tip that I have for weapons, and this is more of a combat tip, and I didn't learn this until later on, but I knew that you always wanted to keep pulse in order to regenerate your stamina. Once you've used up stamina in a fight, it slowly starts to regenerate, and if you pulse at the exact time, you'll get all that stamina back. But if you take it one step further and you pulse at the same time as switching your stance, you'll actually gain a little bit more stamina back than you normally would. So keep this in mind to stance, and when you're pulsing and all of that, you're going to feel a lot better, and combat's just going to feel a little bit easier if you do this. Now this next tip I'm a little bit of a hypocrite about because, well, I didn't do it until way late in the game, but you really in between missions need to make sure you're stocked up on ammo and consumables before each mission. But why is this in the video? That seems like a common sense idea. And again, most people are probably going to know this already, but I didn't notice it until later on. When you go into the Blacksmith and you go to purchase items, you can actually toggle between item box and storehouse. Item box is what's actually on your character, so if you're wanting to stock up and you already have the amount that you can hold in your inventory, you won't be able to buy any more. In order to actually purchase more and have them in your warehouse, or your storehouse rather, you need to tab over to that by just pressing down on the left analog stick, and then you can buy as many as you want to keep that storehouse stocked. Each time that you rest at a shrine, the things that you refill are pulled from your storehouse. This is why it's good to make sure you do have that stocked of any ammo or consumables that you might need in your next mission. Another piece of advice that I have, and it's just more of something that I thought was really cool within Nioh 2, and this is on your secondary armor, whatever you want to call it. You can find a special effect called Kodama sensor. This is really great for pointing out the Kodamas you might encounter during the level. There's other sensor like things that you can get. There's one for treasure. I think there's one for Amrita as well, which is used to level up your character. But I really just always made sure I had that Kodama sensor on so that I could be finding it, so I could be getting more and more buffs. If you don't know what Kodamas are, they're the little green guys that you're going through and rescuing during the mission. Once you found them once, you never need to find them again. So once you've discovered all the Kodamas, you could just never ever need that certain special effect. Just something to keep in mind when you're looking at your items and loot. One other thing that I want to talk about, and I guess this is more of just another thing that I think is cool within Nioh 2, is the Twilight missions. These can be found on your map over on the left side of the screen, these red circles. They may not be unlocked, they'll tell you what you need to do to unlock them, but these reset daily and they do offer up really valuable rewards. And on top of it, they're pretty fun to check out and see the modified version of maps and quests that you've already done. Super cool thing there. I have a few more pieces of advice that I wish I would have known earlier on, and when it comes down to itemization and loot, in all honesty, other than looking for what type of weapon you want, really, at least for your first playthrough, I recommend just going after what has the blue arrow pointing up on it, showing that it's an upgrade in its base stat, whether it be defense or damage. Special effects are nice to keep an eye on too, but for your first playthrough, I really just recommend just going after whatever's the biggest upgrade. Any gear that you don't want, make sure you do take it to the blacksmith, select all the gear you don't want, and make sure you dismantle those items. You're going to need them for crafting. This next tip I have is related to soul cores. I don't know why, but this one took me longer than it probably should have to figure out, but when you go into your managed soul cores, there's an option to do soul infusion. I was trying to fuse any soul cores together that I wanted, but really at the end of the day, each item, they have to be the exact same soul core. So for example, I cannot infuse an Inkai soul core with a Yoki soul core. They're not the same, they cannot be fused. So keep that in mind, that having duplicate cores is okay and that you can fuse them and improve the existing cores. Another cool thing I noticed in this game, and it, to me at least, was not immediately obvious, and this is related to skill trees. When you go into these, you're going to notice some of the nodes have an up arrow on them. That means those can actually be leveled up one or more times to increase the potency on them. Definitely worth doing. I do recommend it. I have two more pieces of advice for you. The next one is again related to the blacksmith, and this is your patronage. When I first saw this, I didn't know exactly what it meant, but it's exactly what you would really think. Once you go and you've spent enough money at the blacksmith, you become a better patron of them. So in order to increase that, you go into your dialogue session at the blacksmith. You can see your patronage levels and upgrades that you can then purchase. In order to gain the levels, really all you do is you just spend money at the blacksmith. So make sure you're buying and doing everything there and crafting. It'll all happen naturally, but if it is something you want to target and you're sitting on a bunch of gold, go ahead and do that, gain yourself some levels. Last but not least, and this is again talking about loot, when you're trying to sort through your items, it can be very overwhelming because you're going to get so many items that if you're like me, I just really didn't know what to do with them all. And a lot of times it really just kind of felt like garbage collection. This game does actually offer a loot filter. If you go into your inventory, you can go into filtering and you can set all the different settings here that you want. You can sort by item level, rarity, status, your familiarity. Loads of options here, and I was really surprised the very first time I saw this of all the options that you do have to help you filter and sort your loot a little bit easier. That's going to wrap it up for this Nioh 2 tips and tricks video. I've enjoyed my time with the game so far. Currently, I am taking a break to go and play Valheim. I wanted to see what all the hype was about, and when Valheim first came out, I passed it up to play Nioh 2 instead, and I really feel like I made a mistake there. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get this video out to you, and I hope someone out there found this video useful. And if you're playing Nioh 2, I want to wish you the best of luck. If you feel like co-oping, feel free to hit me up on any of our social medias. Please feel free to check the links down below for that. We have our Discord, Twitter, as well as the YouTube channel that we do live stream on as well. Make sure you come by, check out the stream. I'd love to see you there and chat. I appreciate your guys' continued support, and I'm excited to have more videos and live streams in the future. If you enjoy this video and all the content on the channel, don't forget to like, subscribe. Make sure you have that bell notification turned on so you can get notified when I post new weekly videos. Feel free to share the channel with a friend as well. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.